Good morning, YouTubers. Scorpion85629 here. What I'm showing you now is the picture that I'm going off for the shaping of the fenders and the lights, because I cannot get the lights right now, so I'm just using the picture. As you can see, you got the top view, side view, and front view, and rear. I'm not going to worry about the rear because all I have to worry about on that is just trying to get the width the same way and the contour. So I'm basically going to be using the top and the side, and obviously some of the front, because I want to be able to look similar to the top view here. But it's going to be a bit different because my fenders are going to be flared out quite a bit, as you can see from the black line here. I have to make a nice smooth contour and move the phone out of the way and go off this black line here. As you can see, I cut some of the foam away so I can get it as close as possible to the top view right here of the actual car. And I colored it so then I can basically see that that's where the headlight is actually going to be. That's black permanent marker. I just went along the line there and colored it in, and I did the same on the other side. As you can see, it's not fitting as it was before because I took some of that material out of there. So now it's basically free fit. It's no longer a tight puzzle fit as before due to taking some of that material out of there. And I've got to work on the contour over here more because I took a little bit too much off of there. As you can see in the front, it goes pretty well, and then goes off in the middle. My paper that I had laying on the foam, I accidentally slid it, so then it moved. And I gotta get that foam that I cut and put it back in there, and then recut it to the proper contour. Hopefully I don't slip my paper again. And obviously I did the same thing over here because I was working off the same contour and I slipped the paper. But at least it's a symmetrical error. Those are easier to fix than asymmetrical error, especially when it's way off. Because the whole thing is, I was going off the contour of the line that I had here. As you can see, it goes really well on the inside. I don't know if you can see that line. It's on the paint itself. I scribed the paint. I'm not worried about the paint because of the fact that it's already beat up to crap and it needs to be repainted. I'll show you what I'm talking about. See that? Older car in the Arizona sun gets beat to hell when it doesn't have any garage to be in. But it's now able to be in the garage. And the dash, I don't know if you can see that with the reflection, but dash also gets beat to hell. Just go ahead and bring it in here. Open up the door and let you see what I'm talking about. If you've never seen the Arizona dash in a vehicle, then you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. This doesn't take very long at all for cracking to appear, especially in the summer sun. It didn't have any kind of cracking in it when I first got the car. That was 2.5 years ago. And now Yeah, that's what happens when you leave the car in the sun too long. And Armor All, yeah, that's a big gimmick. Armor All does not protect against summer UV rays. What you need is a blind. A windshield blind. Is plain simple $5 windshield blind to put up, which I didn't have. So yeah, that's what happens. And now I have it, so it's kind of slowed the progress of the cracking. Anyway, back to the front end. I'm going to show you what I had before. Was just marked off. The 2 holes there, those are for the transmission cooler. Put the phone down so I can show you. Okay, this right here, what you're hearing, that's the fins on the transmission filter, the transmission cooler, if you cannot see it. But that is it, what I'm aiming at right now. I'm going to point to it, put my finger on it so you can see it. Sometimes the video looks a lot better on the camera than we put it on the computer. It looks like crap, but that's how it goes sometimes. The holes here on the edges, they have been chamfered a bit for a smooth transition on the hoses, just in case it has any issue with rubbing. But I did some spacing checks on there with the transmission cooler itself, and that's a straight shot on those holes. I'm going to bring you to the inside. Hopefully you'll be able to see it, what I'm talking about, because it's dark. Okay, there's 2 holes there, and the shine that you see with the light, that is due to the fact that it has been smoothed and chamfered on the edges, so I wouldn't have to worry about putting any grommets in there. I mean, I can if I want to, but for now the hoses aren't long enough to actually bounce enough for them to get any chafing, so it shouldn't have any issues from that point on. And as I showed you before, the brackets, they direct the air to the radiator. The bad thing about this is that the air is not pushed out through the top of the car, it's pushed down to the bottom, so it hits the wall. When I say wall, it's the engine. The engine is actually a multi-contoured wall, if you want to look at it that way, and then the air goes down from that. After it goes past the radiator and the fans, the cooling fans, it hits that wall, then the air goes down under the car instead of over the car, bypassing all the obstacles, just going over the hood, so you have better downforce and basically you have better hold on the road, more control. But this is not a high-end sport car, so can't worry about that. Just gotta work with what you got. And on the hood here, I'm gonna go ahead and show you. It'll sit a bit closer because I cut the material from the stock hood. As you can see, I made it flat. This material needs to be taken out so it'll actually be able to close. So I'm going to show you how it lays down. As you can see, it's not touching yet. It's not meeting up. That is due to the fact that I have to cut the foam over here. As you can see, I gotta go ahead and cut that out, so then it's able to meet that bracket on the bottom without actually touching the bracket itself. I want it to latch without touching the bracket, so then when I put the extra material for the hood to extend out the hood slightly, because you can see it's about 3 inches away from actually being where it needs to be. That's probably about 3.5. I haven't measured it yet, but that material needs to be added on for that to match up. And you can see how much wider the actual car is to the that foam on there. That's a pretty wide car. We didn't really think it's that wide of a vehicle looking at the Skyline, but then we actually do something like this, you can tell, because the Acura Legend is a pretty wide vehicle on its own. But then doing something like this, you can see that that is one of the reasons why the Skyline has a much better handling characteristic. It's got a much wider wheelbase. With approximately the same length. Which is why it looks that way. So if you're looking at the Acura Legend, take a few inches off from the top view and shrink it in. Yeah, that'll make it a pretty narrow vehicle. With nearly the same wheelbase front to back. Okay, well, that is it for the description. Oh, wait, before I go, forgot about this. I had to go ahead and remove some material here because on the side, as I said before, on the cardboard, it was actually giving too much flex. So when I took it in for people to go ahead and do their laser cutting on the aluminum, going off the drawings from from the model that I gave them, obviously it's not their fault. That was just something that happened with the cardboard when I was checking it. But now it's good to go. I just gotta go ahead and make some brackets to meet up with the holes here. Get that material off of there. Did some sanding yesterday, so it's got some foam everywhere. Anyway, I've got to line up the holes, put the brackets in place, bolt it all down, and I've got to do the same in here. I am going to basically be using the mounting points from the lights, the stock lights, and going from the top. I'm going to go over here so have a slight amount more light. Okay, right here, this is the top bracket, and this will basically go to the bottom because there's a bolt hole and it's symmetric on both sides. So I can put a U bracket here and put it on the bottom, and having a U bracket will make it so it has more stability instead of just having a flat piece of metal that goes top to bottom. With the L bracket, it'll have a U bracket, and then it'll have a straight, which will be an L and a U, because the L has to match up with that bracket there, and that'll hold everything together. And if I have it at 2 to 3 points evenly spaced, then it shouldn't have any issue with moving side to side. And the top here, this won't allow it to move front to back. The very bottom one will make it so it's not going to move front to back either. And the bracket on the side will make it so it's not going to be moving side to side. So it'll have your basic 4 points of contact that are needed to keep it stable. Okay, well, I believe I have covered everything for now. So that is progress. And it's actually meeting up how it's supposed to. As you can see, the metal's not rubbing on the paint there. It's very, very close, but it's not rubbing. I don't know if you can see that at all, but I can see it in the camera. But like I said before, a lot of times it does not show up when you download it on the computer. Alright, well, that is it. Thank you for watching.